Good morning. As the COVID-19 vaccine is now starting to become more readily available to the general public, I wanted to share some tips how to prepare yourself for the vaccine, what to expect, and the best ways to manage any potential symptoms you might experience after receiving it from an Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine perspective. I'll start by saying I received my first dose of the vaccine the other day, and I was very impressed by how organized the effort to administrate it was on my local hospital's part and how friendly all the doctors and staff were during the process. So I'm grateful to all the medical staff on the front lines right now, so just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Thanks for being there for us and helping us get through this. The first thing that we should know with the vaccine is knowing how it's going to affect our body so we know how to prepare ourselves for its administration. Normally, when our bodies interact with pathogens, this happens first on the surface level, and our bodies are either able to mount a good defense to these or they aren't. In Ayurveda, we look at the health of Rasa Dhatu, which can also be correlated with Wei Qi in Chinese medicine, to determine our ability to fight off these pathogens and make corrections if needed. So this idea is one of the tenets of both Ayurveda and Chinese medicine for maintaining good health and protecting ourselves from getting sick in the first place. In the Ayurvedic text Charaka Samhita, there's a chapter called Janapada Dvamsa Vyadi, which discusses the effects and treatments for worldwide epidemics such as COVID. And I'll make another video going more into specifics for that. So look for that soon too. But this will be more just about how to manage the vaccine once you've had it. So with vaccines, what we're essentially doing is purposely introducing a small amount of the inactive pathogen into the body, or in the case of the COVID vaccine, it's actually just the messenger RNA for the virus, so that our immune system can learn how a particular virus works and produce antibodies as a defense against it. So this bypasses our normal defense mechanism, or you can look at it like a perimeter wall around a castle. And although this is an extremely effective way to help our immune system produce the needed antibodies and become stronger, we can also imagine the effect it might have on the body in the same way we might visualize this castle, where we have the perimeter walls and rather than the troops having to fight their way through the drawbridge, they're dropped right inside the castle itself, so they don't have to face the flaming arrows and cannonballs and sword fights and everything that it takes normally to get into the castle. So this is kind of just a silly analogy. But jumping into prepare ourselves for the vaccine itself, here's a few tips. Number one, plan your vaccine timing and your days off on either side of it like you would if you were actually sick. So regardless of if you get any side effects or not, your body's going to be recovering as it processes the vaccine. So it's very important to give it this time. If you can plan around having your days off just to lay low and recover, this would be the absolute best. I know it's not always possible, but number two, starting in the few days leading up to the vaccine, this is a really important time. It's a good time to practice eating a light diet of fresh and well-cooked foods as much as possible, to practice good lifestyle habits. This means eliminating or greatly reducing the consumption of meat, alcohol, and sugar primarily, as well as processed foods. Dairy is also good to reduce and or eliminate if you tend towards phlegm and gunky type presentations. This will sort of gunk up the system during this time that's particularly vulnerable. So eliminating that too. So you essentially want to eat primarily a light, warm, and easy to digest meal. Foods like soups and stews are perfect for this time. Clearing an overburdened large intestine and liver is really going to be one of the best things we can do to help the body process and eliminate toxins properly. We want the bowels functioning well and the liver able to do its job of cleaning the blood. So it's also important to prioritize getting good sleep, both before and after you've received the vaccine. There's numerous studies showing how critical good sleep is for our health, and during this time especially, that's even more important. So this means getting in bed by probably ideally 10 p.m., not 10 a.m., 10 p.m., maybe 10:30 at the latest if you've got night owl tendencies or you're a pitta type. Your 10 p.m. is going to feel a little rough, so by 10:30 p.m. though would be ideal. You want to give yourself a little extra time to sleep during this period so that your body can do its repair functions at night. During the day, number three, you can drink hot water or fresh ginger tea, and you can do this all day long. It's great to do anytime, but particularly as you've had the vaccine, this will help support your digestion and elimination. Vaccines can disrupt the normal flow of things, and you may notice a diminished appetite as well. So this will help you keep hydrated, especially if you find yourself feeling very dried out. Taking a teaspoon or two of triphala 30 minutes to an hour before bed and a cup of warm water will also keep your GI tract regular, and I encourage this very much. So one of the primary functions we want to do is just keep the bowels moving. So the hot water is going to play a big part of that, and the trifle at night is also just going to make sure that happens as well. So you can take this in various doses. If you get it in the pill form, just read the bottle, and I suggest just taking the bottle dosage. Half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of the powder is also very, very safe, and in quite a small dose too. You could even get a little bit bigger dose than that. You want to make sure you're going to the bathroom each day, so that's usually kind of a benchmark I'll use. You don't want loose stools or anything necessarily, but a little bit on the loose side would be okay, but you want to make sure you're going at least once a day. So number 4, you may also find yourself feeling fevery or hot after you've received the vaccine, and as vaccines cause like a subclinical level of inflammation in the body. So if this is the case, licorice tea is a really nice lubricating and cooling tea that I like a lot. This also helps maintain your health and keeps the mind nice and calm through this. It's also great in the case of sore throats that might accompany this as well. So there's a real common version of licorice tea out on the market called Throat Coat. I believe it's the Yogi Tea brand. Easy to find at most grocery stores, and I really like this one quite a bit. Tulsi tea is also another wonderful, wonderful option. I'd very much encourage you to drink Tulsi tea, not only during your time of receiving the vaccine or post-vaccine, but into the future to help protect and maintain your health as well. So Tulsi tea is also getting more and more widely available, so you should be able to find that in most grocery stores. I generally recommend, if you're using the bagged teas with this, to double up your bags, so don't just use the 1 tea bag, go for 2. And it's nice you can drink this all day. At least 2 or 3 cups a day is perfect. If you feel an inclination to drink a little more, it's okay. Very safe. So very much encourage drinking of licorice tea, throat coats, or the variations of that, or Tulsi tea is also very good. I've had patients also keep some white willow bark on hand. This is a nice, effective herbal option. If you find yourself with a headache post-vaccine, that seems to be sort of common. I also encourage patients to keep aspirin around as well, just as a backup. But white willow bark is actually very, very effective, and most people, I also find, do pretty okay, really. As long as they're staying hydrated, that seems to be the big case. So really make sure you're getting your water intake and your hydration. Keep your water warm. You don't want the cold water for the same reasons we don't want the cold and raw foods, as it will kind of slow the digestion. When we take cold water in, the body actually has to room that back up to warm temperature, and that will take some energy that could be used to help work on our immune system. So keep that water warm or hot. It's also likely that for a few days after, and I've definitely experienced this too, you'll probably feel some soreness in the site of injection. So this is a very normal thing. When the needle goes in, it causes an inflammatory effect in the muscles. So, and that's why you'll get this kind of just dense, heavy feeling. It might be a little bit sore to raise your arm, something like that. So just doing gentle massage and range of motion exercises on the arm can help a lot. Getting a little bit of movement, don't overdo it. I wouldn't recommend lifting weights or anything major like that, but just very simple, gentle rubbing of the arm and massage is great for this. I'm also a big fan of, there's a homeopathic ointment called Tramiel that you can find at most grocery stores these days, through health food stores at least. It can be very helpful for sore muscles, aches, if there's any bruising or anything like that. I love this one quite a bit. So not quite so Ayurvedic, but it's a great product and easy to find. So aside from just doing kind of a massage like this, you can also put a little bit of oil on this in the morning or the evening if you have a sore shoulder or any sore muscles in your body. I should say there's Herbalized Ayurvedic oils. A very common one you can find is called Maha Narayan oil. I'll put a link for that too. It's a great oil. But you can also use something as simple as just coconut oil. Works great too. So I recommend putting this on in the morning and in the evening. If you can plan that around your shower, even better. So put a little bit, rub that in just for a couple minutes, and then jump in the shower. It'll help the oil soak in better. So oil massage is also a great adjunct to this. And number 5 is, within a few days of the vaccine, you really should start to feel more back to normal. So this is a good time to reintegrate your normal diet slowly, as well as taking what we call Rasayana in Ayurveda. So this is a rejuvenative herbal formula. There's a product called Chyavanprash, which is commonly available, and this can be found online. My personal favorite is called Gaduchi Sattva. This is an herb known as Tinospora cordifolia, and that's the Latin name. Wonderful herb. And you can take this 500 milligrams to 1 gram a day, is very safe and will benefit most people. So this is a great Rasayana herb to take. I take this almost daily. So And as always, it's best to see an Ayurvedic practitioner for the most accurate assessment of what you need. But these are some generally very safe recommendations that most folks should do just fine with. And it's also a good time once you've got through the vaccine period and you're into the rejuvenation period, to get some acupuncture, get a massage. These are both extremely beneficial modalities for helping the nervous system to rebalance and return back to normal. And lastly, golden milk, which is a pretty well-known recipe these days. I've seen all kinds of variations on it, and I've seen it all over. All the big magazines seem to talk about it now too. So this is another Ayurvedic recipe that's not only great for your immune system and your health, but also just delicious. So such a treat, especially in the colder months. I'm going to put a link to a recipe for that. But essentially what we're doing is taking just about 2 cups or so of milk, adding maybe a half a cup to a cup of water, depending on how much liquid and how thin you like it. If you tend to be more of a mucusy person, I'd recommend going a little bit more water and less milk too. And we're just adding to that some cardamom, some cinnamon, which makes it nice and delicious. This is also good to help the respiratory system and the digestive tract. And some turmeric and a little bit of black pepper. And we just bring that milk just to and some ginger, sorry. And we just bring this just to a light boil. We don't really want to overboil it. You want to get it just to the boiling point so it's nice and warm. Pour it in a cup, let it sit for a few minutes, and then sip on that. And you can drink this at nighttime after dinner. It's a nice treat. It helps to regulate the bowels, helps to continue clearing out the inflammation in the body, and is a rasayana or a tonic formula as well. It's very easy to make, and so go ahead and do that. I really recommend that. I also like to add a little bit of fennel to it, so if you want to play around with some fennel, a little dab of fennel will do ya. So I've talked to a large handful of people at this point, of my fellow healthcare workers, and who've gotten the vaccine, and from my experience with it as well, the most common effect you're probably going to see is a little bit of fatigue and maybe a light fever. I noticed I was tired for that afternoon, evening, and a little bit the following evening too. But other than that, I didn't have any major symptoms. I felt a little bit dried out, but nothing major. And the folks I've talked to have all had fairly similar experiences. So I'm very impressed with this vaccine. It seems to be very safe, and people I'm talking to are all very happy with it. So I'd encourage everybody to get it. And Ayurvedic medicine, also offers us some amazing tools to utilize in conjunction with the vaccine for the best results. And, I'm so looking forward to the day that we can all get back out there and be together in person again. So, as always, I should also say, make sure you see a primary care provider, especially if you have any adverse symptoms or anything strange happening. And of course, these are just some general recommendations, and Ayurveda, when used to its fullest potential, really makes recommendations specific to an individual. So if you'd like a personalized consult with me, you can always reach me through my website below. And if you enjoyed the video as well and want to see more, please like and subscribe. Hope this was helpful, and be safe out there, everybody, and take care. Thank you.